Hey everyone, John Deere here from the Deere's Embroidery Legacy, and today's question is, why is embroidery software so expensive? Now before I attempt to answer that question, I'm going to give you a little bit of my background that will hopefully give some perspective to my answer. 40 years ago, when I learned how to punch, which is now known as digitizing, it was on a manual Shifley plow and pantograph machine. And it was a machine that was 10 yards long, and I was manually creating stitches one at a time. This machine was so old that it didn't even use paper tape. It was a manual pantograph. After 2 years of pantograph punching, we bought our first Melco Digitrack. This was a board-based digitizing system, and it was so early that Melco hadn't even developed a embroidery machine, so we had an Ultramatic single needle machine that worked with the Digitrack, and we punched all our designs on paper tape. And after a couple years on the Digitrack, that's when we were introduced to our first editing software, which was an EDS system that was developed by Melco. And we still punched or digitized on the Digitrack, but we were able to bring our stitches into a software program and see them on screen for the first time. Now that all happened within the first 5 years of my career as a puncher, and then I went on the hunt for my first full-blown digitizing program 35 years ago. There were only two real competitors out there. One was Gnault and Stigma and the other one was Wilcom, and I had to be very careful about which choice I made. Now you might be wondering why it was such a hard decision to make. Reason why is software was incredibly expensive in those days. I did end up going with Wilcom, and what I got was a black and white manual, about 20 floppy disks, and a security card that went into my DOS computer. And for that I paid $54,000 US. You heard me right, $54,000. So truth be told, if you feel like you've paid way too much for your software, I might not be the best person to complain to, but I will give you my reasoning why embroidery software is more expensive than many other programs in many other industries. So here's my primary two reasons why embroidery software tends to be a little bit more expensive than other programs in other hobbies. Number one is good developers cost money. If you want to have a program that functions well, you need to have a development team that knows what they're doing, and then you have the aspect of all of the beta testing that goes into it. Everything that you create, you might create a new feature that ends up breaking features, and all of that has to be tested, retested, and there's a huge amount of cost that goes into the development process itself. And then it trickles down to the primary reason, which is taking all of those development costs and the ongoing costs in supporting and adding new features, taking all of that and breaking it down to how many units you're going to sell. The embroidery industry is not as large of an industry as many others, meaning that a graphics program, which might be utilized by millions of people, in the embroidery industry might only be a small percentage, and that really does dictate the amount that a software developer has to actually charge to develop the software. And then you have the complete other food chain, so to speak, of people who have to market it, people who have to sell it, and it all has to go through a very structured system so that it's profitable for everybody involved. So the reality is your embroidery software might be higher in price than some other hobbies or businesses, and that is simply because of the reality of the situation. The volume of potential users is smaller, and that in turn reflects the price. Now, even though I started this journey 40 years back, I am speaking within current personal experience. Having started this journey 40 years ago, I've always tried to stay current with software as it's developed, and to this day, our Design Doodler software is developed by Tajima Pulse, the #1 innovators in embroidery software development in the world. So be sure to download Design Doodler and give it a shot. It is an incredible program that allows you to easily create artistic merit embroidery designs. So be sure to leave your thoughts and comments below and any future questions you might have, and be sure to watch the next video.